Well, welcome to another Sunday night flight with Kazaki Flyer 66. Yep, I had this because this aircraft has its limitations. It's severely limited in the cockpit. We'll be doing a lot of viewing from the outside, which is spectacular, or at least for this aircraft. If only the cockpit matched it. But tonight we're going to be following along here from our little. It's just a little dirt strip on an island. And first off on our trip will be a visit to some of well, the price paid for the real estate here is some of the costliest in the universe. It was paid for in American Marines' blood. We'll be visiting that island. Most of you have seen it in the series The Pacific. And from there, we're going to head up to the main island of Palau. And then we'll fly across to, well, what at one time was the home for the United States Pacific Fleet. Western edition. When things had gotten a little bit too far from Pearl Harbor, they set up base here. And as you'll see why. It's huge. It was the only thing that could hold the fleet. Now, the D-Day invasion may have been larger as far as the number of ships involved, but they were spread out over a large number of bases and ports. Here at Ulithi, they were all gathered in one place at one time. They had to find a place to put all of them. And, well, at least the signal is stabilized. If I break up, well, that's the internet tonight. It's been mighty unstable. I'll just take what I can get from it. And, well, let's get started. Let's see if we can first get this airplane in the air. Then we'll do a little orbit around the planet, or orbit around the planet. What am I kidding? We'll do a little circle around the island here, and then we'll head up to Pelelu. Heat up on my pedals here. I hate to go inside because this cockpit, I think the only two instruments that actually work are the Mach meter and the altimeter. And there we go, losing some of our stability. I figured it had to fall into everybody's lap at some point, but I wish they'd get their act together, really. Power coming in. Release the brakes. Let's taxi up here onto the grass strip proper. Okay, what's it with the brakes here? Now, don't make me do a restart here. You've been sitting nice and pretty for the last 20 minutes, getting ready to do this show. So if I have to do a restart after a crash, it's the brakes sticking to the ground. Let's see. Power coming in. Afterburner's on. Watching the airspeed indicator climb. It's the only thing that works. And we're up. Sort of. There we go. Let's get up in the air. Pull our flaps in. Now this plane is great if you've got everything bound to your joystick and external sources. Gear up. Start our turn. Out of afterburner. Stay out of the rain. I think I saw a Colonel Fork up around at Palau itself. The vagaries of live weather in the South Pacific. We don't need 300 knots. We'll cut throttles back a little bit more. Okay, we're right at about 2,100 feet. Our climb meter does not work, so we just got to judge it by eye. Try not to crash into anything. Well, the compass works. At least it's turning. Now we need to turn a little bit to the north. See Colonel Fork to the north up there. Okay, that next island on the horizon just past the rain is Peleliu itself. It's not even the biggest island in this chain. But we're going to pass over and make our salute to all the gallant Marines that paid with their lives for this piece of terrain. And they didn't really need to. It's so far from the Philippines and so far from everybody else that they could have just left this alone and let it just wither on the vine. But no, they decided they had to have this during the war and vowed to take it. Okay, we're coming up on Peleliu itself. There's what's left of the infamous airfield. Kind of wish the weather was better. See more detail on this island. I wish the terrain mesh was a little better too. There are pretty good steep hills on this island, and Lord knows they were honeycombed with caves. Some of the people living in those caves didn't come out until 1947, 3 years after the island had been taken by the U.S. Marines. A little bit of power in. Start our little climb here. As we head up towards Palau itself, this is a much more populated island. We don't want to get too high yet, just stay under the clouds. There's Colonel Fork also in a T-38. I like these aircraft even better than I do the F-5 Tiger Shark. everybody likes the F-16 Thunderbirds, but these are these are my Thunderbirds. In these modern times, these little islands are nature preserves. Scratch the annoying itch. Trim her down a little bit. Keep trying to stick our nose up into those clouds. Wouldn't mind owning one of these little islands just for the sheer investment of in an island. But I'm glad that they're preserved for Mother Nature. These don't need to be developed. You can see they don't have beaches. Now these truly are island paradises. Matter of fact, this place, I'd expect to find James Bond in a place like this, getting monologued to by some villain. And here we go, coming around the island. Big Sim stutter. Thank you, Atobo. Aren't they pretty? Get headed north again for Palau itself. Give it a little boot in the butt with some afterburner here. We want to climb. Normally we like to stick close to the ground, but today we want to get up there. Now it's a bit of a stretch here across this piece of terrain, so I'm gonna get my cell phone out here and plug into the ancient avionics system. Hey, we're above most of the clouds. We don't need 400 knots. Backing off here. I believe I can hear Colonel Fort getting closer. How's that for a view, folks? That is what they should look like. Missed our turn. Get back on course here. Our next waypoint is Yap Island. Yes, it is named after all of our mothers-in-law. Now, nominally, the nav system is supposed to work and follow the magenta line. But I've gotten paranoid and don't trust it. I fly heading mode, but I'm not quite going to go as far as flicking the nav button. Looks like we're above most of the weather now. I'm sorry, the lines of the T-38 are classic. Yes, I was alive when this paint job was flying. So let's bring our power back to about. We want to do about 300 knots here, not in the 400 up at 350 or so. We want to go about 300 or less. We'll make it a fast trip, but we don't want to make it that fast. Yeah, that's a help. While I push some buttons over here and here too, as we zero in on our course line with our heading bug. boy, look around this cockpit. There are so many buttons and little switches to push and pull, and none of them work. If somebody did a proper panel for this aircraft and released it for payware, I'd shuck out my $10 for this. There's so much detail in this, it's amazing. I can push buttons without crashing the airplane or crashing myself here. The winds are pushing us around a bit. Okay, they're slowing down too much. We'll put a little bit of throttle back in. Okay, let's see if I can find it here. Okay, this is kind of appropriate for this area. We're losing altitude and airspeed here. Give it a quick boot. Like, come on, let's go. Getting back above 200 knots here. See if we can come out without coming too far out. Be a nice girl and hold your altitude. See what it does. Selected 12.5. He wants to go orbital here. Still climbing. Oh, that's about the peak of it. Now let's see if he'll go back down without keep going down. Don't worry, Colonel Fork, it's not your fault if you can't keep up my oddball flying. This aircraft was actually meant to pretty much free fly. The autopilot shouldn't be used. It's a lot more fun free flying anyway. Okay, there's about where I selected. Let's see if she'll level out and stop. Doesn't look like it. Although it's showing 10,900 on the hold. So let's see if she'll go down to that. We can get her to slow down a little bit here too, without slowing down too much. Oh, I think it's getting close to where it wants to be. There's 11.5. We'll take that. 300 knots indicated. How far off course are we? There we go. Thank you, winds. Still 183 miles to Yap. $11,350 feet. Bing. That's where it wants to be. Okay. For this part of the trip, that's fine. Just a holding place to get us where we want to go. Well, hi, Kapustik. More than welcome. Everybody's always welcome. You can see Colonel Fork's with us too in a T-38. I'm in the Bicentennial Thunderbirds paint. From the little glimpse I caught of Colonel Fork, he's also in one of the Thunderbirds. I don't know which one. They were kind enough to provide all 5 Thunderbird paint schemes, plus the Bicentennial. And these are the T-38s I grew up with. Matter of fact, we were out playing baseball at my high school. Happened to look up about at in our my hometown is under a practice flight zone. It's a reserved Air Force area, which is why they practice recon flights down my valley. But we looked up at about 10,000 feet. I don't know whether they were NASA pilots or whether they were just Air Force pilots having a go, but there were 2 T-38s locked up tight in a dogfight right over our town. Almost got bonked on the head by a fly ball because of that dogfight, because I was watching them instead of the baseball. Still doing 0.45, that ain't too bad. About 220 indicated. Now, I've been waiting since this flight sim came out for this. I'm sorry the panel is such garbage, but I'm just so glad to have an external model that looks so beautiful. Come on. There we go. See if we can zoom in on all the flags here. These are all the countries and states that the Thunderbirds performed in during the bicentennial year of 1976. I can see New Mexico's flag, Mexico, the United States, California, Colombia, yay, Colombia, Canada, I think that's Mississippi's flag down there. See South Korea, Japan, Brazil, Viva Brazil, Great Britain. These guys really covered some ground. Okay, we're actually at 10,900, but the altimeter's broken in the plane. That's about right. The airspeed indicator kind of works. Now, in outside view, it doesn't. It wants to read it in Mach. I wish that was in indicated instead of percentage of Mach. But if you see this little arrow right here on your Mach meter in the cockpit, it's right to the left of the artificial horizon. This little arrow indicates your airspeed in indicated. So right now I'm just doing about 200 and probably 20 knots indicated. I'm doing 275 ground speed. We'll take it. We're going to go freehand when we get to Yap and take her down under the clouds. And we're drifting off course again. You're going the wrong way. Yep, yep, yep. Of course we are. Cooperate here. There, that. There's Colonel Ford. Don't know yet. Gotta wait till he gets a little closer. One reason I went to the rent with the bicentennial is I left the numbers free for anybody else that wanted to come along. Let's see, Colonel Fork is flying. Well, he's actually, now it's showing him not in the Thunderbird's painting at all, but just the Andrews Air Force Base painting. One of the chase planes. So the numbers are still up for grabs all through 1 through 5. Oh, that's still a beautiful picture with T-38s that close together. Kapustik, I totally agree with you. I don't know who told Asobo that their multiplayer problems were fixed, but they lied. Just because something may work once doesn't mean it's working as intended. Of course, that may be the problem. It's working as they intended to get everybody to go out and buy the fixes all in MFS 2024. Personally, I'm going to have to buy a whole new hard drive setup to get 2024. I don't got the room. I've got 5 terabytes of memory, and I don't have the room. Not to be able to keep this and all the pooper off for this, and add MFS 2024 to it. Thunderbird 6 inbound. Let's see if it shows us the right paint scheme. Just because I'm feeling nice and green tonight. One of the biggest kicks I ever had was buying the audience participation for this. In 3 years, and they still haven't fixed that rotating camera thing. It's like watching a precessive compass. One of the best illustrations of precession I ever saw was a 20-pound pendulum hung from a 30-foot ceiling. And then they put up 360 degrees with a bowling pin at every degree. And then they just let it swing. And eventually that weight knocked down every bowling pin. Light check. Still 125 miles to Yap. Also known as Mother-in-Law Island, or depending, maybe known as Chihuahua Island. Colonel Fork, you've done spectacular. You need to rest that arm, buddy. You're too valuable to this community to take a permanent hurt from that. Rest up, heal, do what the doctors tell you. Don't overstress it. I'm glad you came along for as long as you did, but you really do need to heal up. Hey, I've been doing this alone for a long time. It's nice to have company, though, for which I am grateful. And you're within the same light year, that's enough. This would be hilarious if we could populate a Murph stream with all the T-38s. I know the guys at Flying Iron have a lot on their plate, and the same with the guys at Just Flight. But man, this really deserves a good payware conversion. I'm hoping that they limited it as much as they did because somebody is actually doing a payware work of it. Yeah, she does look like a bird of prey from the bottom. We don't need plasma. We don't need guns. We're here for the fun. Oh, Blackbird is working on a T-38? Awesome. Those are the guys to do justice to this. After what they did for the 310, this would be amazing. Just turn on everything here in this little freeware panel. That'd be the bee's knees. Give it this nice simple autopilot. We're good to go. I should have made sure I'd moved it from one computer to the other computer. There's a, I copied I Napstered the audio portion of a video. Now, we used to, or not me, I never used it personally, but the TV stations I grew up with, whenever they sign off and shut down for the night, they used this piece as their sign-off music every night. And it was a T-38 in flight. They set it to the poem High Flight by Robert Gillespie Jr. And if one thing ever converted us to being an aircraft nut, that one video did. Because we'd watch it every night. Nowhere is Kapustik. I'd expect this would be really fun in VR. Sometimes an image can say 1,000 words. I think this is one of them. Okay, 98 miles out from Yap and making pretty good time here. I expect the clouds will pick up the closer we get to the island of Yap. That's the typical South Pacific pattern. The updraft from islands tends to cool the air and cause cloud formation. Well, the panel may be horrible, but the model is superb. What's cool is they'll even pop the canopy during taxi. If you have to hit the light switch and it'll pop the canopies. Well, ever since Dune update, I've had to change liveries, literally change liveries, not just reselect, change liveries after loading to the main screen. If it don't, It'd go about 3/4 or a third of the way and hang and just sit there and spin for 10 or 20 minutes, not even load. Have to take a Control Alt Delete, task manage your way out of that. Then reboot the whole kit and caboodle. That's what took me so long yesterday with on Allison's flight. The thing was going perfectly smooth. The internet had a hiccup and caused me to have to reboot the whole thing. And then it wanted to hang up, give me trouble doing that. So don't worry, Caboostic. I think it's pretty widespread. Unless you're running a 4090 or something. I'm running almost 50 frames a second here over the ocean. With very few spotty clouds. Just Colonel Fort. That's amazing. Now let's see whose signatures they put on the airplane. Captain John Miguez. That's nice. Now hopefully I can look up the flight roster from 1976 and it'd be his name. Okay. After a reboot, okay, you've restarted your simulator. When you go to the main screen and go to the go to your map, and you select your aircraft, go to liveries, and if you're changing aircraft, no worries. But just go ahead normally. But if you're going with the same aircraft, change the livery to another aircraft, select that new livery, and load in. It should go all the way in. And then once you're in, this is where it gets, if you wanted the other livery, go back to the main screen, select the other livery again, and you'll load this time. Yeah, that's all leftovers from the Dune expansion. Oh, we're improving things. Uh-huh. Okay, 80 miles out of Yap. I know I'm on an NVIDIA card, Colonel Ford. I have not updated my driver. I'm still running on the last stable build that I could find. I've been kind of definitely afraid to update my NVIDIA driver. It doesn't do me any good to update or add the Studio app driver like Allison did, because I can only run it on my game PC. My streaming PC doesn't have the grunt to run it. It's only an old 1600 card. Now it thinks we're Doctor Who. Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey. Yeah, I'm running an RTX 3070 on the gaming PC and RTX 1660 on the streaming PC. And watching it all play back on a laptop. There's priorities for you. All I can say is just count yourself lucky, Colonel Ford. For once, you've been actually spared the problems. Sometimes I get the feeling that their committee meetings are like, I've got a great idea. Throw him out the window. Okay, this is a great idea. Let's implement it. How about we test it first? Out the window. Yeah, I believe it's the marketing group, not the engineers. The engineers that say, nope, test it. We're talking the public here. We'll break things. We're good at it. Yeah, Colonel Bork, I'd have to agree with you on that one. And what's sad is NVIDIA, their headquarters is about 40 miles away from me over in Huntsville, Alabama. That's where the corporate headquarters, I think, are built. It's their plant. I can't remember which. But it's either the offices or the plant is literally right over there in Huntsville, Alabama. Drove past their building several times. Okay, let's check where we're at here. Okay, we're 67 miles out. Well, let's see. Autopilot, it's been good to know you. Thank you for at least doing what you're supposed to do. That doesn't do any good now. We're going to gain some speed in the dive here. Basically, the island we're aiming at is under that pile of clouds. Okay, definitely going to watch the 750's AGL meter. It's more accurate than the one in the cockpit, that's for sure. Back off the power just a little bit while we descend here. I don't know whose flight model these guys. This is based on the old Iris T-38, and I don't know whose flight model they used to as the conversion, but I think they did a pretty good job. This is a very flyable aircraft as long as you've got all your controls assigned to either buttons or controls on your joystick. And we're still 54 miles out. I can see, you can see the currents on the ocean and cloud shadows all the way out here. Okay, 6,000. There is a nice air base here at Gap. See if we can zoom in on it here. This is PTYA. It's 50 nautical miles away, and it's lit, and it's paved. Now that's typical. Let's face it, there's so many things that go in producing a good aircraft, and let's face it, I'm surprised the Coronado stuff is as whole as it is through all the updates, and especially the Blackbird simulations aircraft, the Corsair and the 310. They've received very few updates, and through all the sim updates, they've still managed to work. One of these days, MSFS is going to totally break our aircraft, and almost none of them will be flyable. A little bit more speed, please, as we come out of our dive. You can see why it's so hard to find an island in the Pacific. We're pointed right at Yap, and we cannot see it because it's hiding behind that cloud. Hey, I'll believe that when I see it. We're going to VFR our way around, dance around the cloud. What did you find when you got around it? Another cloud. We're approximately 15 miles out now. Such a simple design, and it has trained so many pilots over the years. Well, I can see the ocean water changing color up ahead of us. Oh, Kapustik, you're very correct about that. They say, will be compatible. Uh-huh. There's another. Take that with a huge grain of salt. Right out of the box, nope, nothing will be compatible. The only thing that can be compatible is the aircraft that are native to the new sim. And then all the developers and are going to be scrambling to update their aircraft for the new sim. And all the users will have to separate. Well, don't update it for this sim, update it for this one. There's Kapustik. Welcome to the T-38 Admiring Club. Glad to see you actually got in the sim. Cooking along right at about 250 indicated, which gives us 272 over the ground. Really do enjoy the flight model with this little aircraft. Climbs well, descends well, and can land on some very short runways, and doesn't bounce. Yep, off to the clouds. We're coming up on an island. Time to bring her down and try to duck under the cloud layer. Should be at about 1,500 feet. We're tourists. We want to look at the island. It's not something you find in the... Colonel Fork is really taking her down. Stay out of the water, Colonel Fork. You need a tank. He does gobble the gas. You see, the way this thing drinks fuel, I'd have been doing a dead stick here at Yap, let alone going on to Ulithi. there's the island. At least we assume the bumps are an island. Well, there's no other bumps around, so yeah, that's an island. Hey, we're doing about 310 now. That would be Kapustik. That was a Thunderbird scheme. We're going to do a quick circle around the island of Yap here, which was a major base for the other side during the late unpleasantness. The big boy was anchored here for a while. Here's the airport. See the light. This is actually a very nice little international field here. It's even got a terminal and a tower. I wouldn't want to walk all over this island, that's for sure. Try to make an air show pass here. Try to keep the stick in sight during our turn here. Okay, we come out on our new heading, and it's still 100 miles to Ulithi. Some throttles back in. And to quote Woody, reach for the sky. Stick those burners in and fly. come out of burner now. This aircraft was made to dance among the clouds. And this sim actually does make good clouds. Let's see if we can get it to work. Okay, there. Well, it's not fighting the inputs from my rudder pedals. So our throttle's back again. See if we can try to get it right at 250 this time. Mach 0.59 is a bit too much. But hopefully it'll stay this clear when we get to Ulithi. That's something we do want to look at from on high. I'd hate to have to change the weather. Hang on, the winds are blustery. Keep adding a little compensation. One thing about the airport at Ulithi, it's nice and long, but it is not improved. It's been 80 years since it was a well-paved, well-cared-for airport. Ballistic, it sure seems like that sometimes. And let's face it, the if it wasn't so expensive to re-equip everything in DCS, that would be the platform to fly in. They just want too much for the aircraft. I've been tempted several times to install that, but every time I do, it wants to install to my C drive, It's like, no, 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 no. You stay away from windows. The only reason MSFS got on the C drive was because one, it's an SSD, and they're the guys that made Windows. As as good as this sim can be at times, I don't blame you for wanting to fly here either. Look, we can actually, when it works, we can fly with our friends. We can explore the world together. For if there's one place on earth that our politics and our religions and our what we had for breakfast, they don't matter here. Our love of an airplane, the joy of the sky, and the beauty of our planet are all here for us to explore together. And we don't have to leave our homes to do it. Some people like Viper Strike, they're blessed. They get to go see the world. I think the farthest I've got to explore the world was when I was a much younger man and got to go to college in Arizona. I wouldn't see it. I wouldn't have gotten to see near as much if I hadn't spent a week driving there. May not have spent a lot of money going there, but I sure sketched a lot of scenery and saw a lot of things. Believe it or not, there's still some places that are free. Meteor Crater, I'm looking at you. Thank you for being open to the public and free of charge. As opposed to Devil's Tower, who want 21 bucks just to look at the place. And that was back in 2000. I told them, yeah, I'm just going to be like the crew from Close Encounters. I'll look at it from way out here. Amen, Kapustik. That's a brilliant observation. We don't want to shoot at anything. We just want to get into the clouds and toss it around like a free spirit. Which is why the poem High Flight gives me shivers and makes me cry every time I hear it and read it. That's where that man really had flown among the clouds and knew what he was expressing when he put the words to paper. How I've done the dumb stuff, and I'm really grateful that I lived in an age before cell phones and digital cameras, because there are no pictures of my idiocy. Well, there are a few, but let's not go there. Those were more recent Egyptness. Yeah, we've gotten away from the clouds, that's for sure. Wave at the clouds. Clear to the right. Clear to the left. Is everybody behind us? fingers crossed the winds don't push us off this line. Because now Ulithi's a big place, but I'd hate to miss it. It's not really that big. I've even explored a new, a couple of new things to do this on this flight. Goes our airspeed following, dropping below 180 knots. Unkick the pig. No, this is not a boat. Look at that angle of attack. Give me some burner, folks. There we go. And we're still. You know, one way to beat this. Goodbye, autopilot. Take her out of burner. Sure we've got plenty of fuel to play with. Feel like a wildcat before we discovered external tanks. Show me the map. I'm hoping Ace of Spades and his Thunderbird's crew can turn this into a show plane. We get this in pay where my wallet is definitely going to make an appearance. I think the three big things I'm looking for now. I've got plenty of fighters. I need a really good B-17. I need a better B-25, a much improved B-25, and a payware version of this aircraft. Oh, that Lancaster they keep teasing me with. Talk about getting edged. Maybe a bit much for some audiences, but hey, I'm tired. It's been over a year and a half. I'm tired of getting teased. Give us the work in progress, guys. Just the gear up, go down. Okay. Can we turn in all four engines on? Okay. Will it hold at a steady altitude? Okay. It'll hold its trim? Yep. Okay. Give it to us. Once that Lancaster comes out, all bets are off. Europe is going to be a very busy place. And that B-17, that just opens up the whole world for four-engine fun. we've climbed to 14,000. Let's see if we can steady it up right there. A slow descent is okay. I'll buy that. We're 40 miles out of Ulithi. Let's see if I can get it to hold its altitude again. There it goes, shooting toward the sky again. We'll try punching in a different altitude. Nope, you're doing the wrong thing. I want to go down, not up. Well, there it's going down. Let's see, get that off the screen. See if we can do this right while we're here. Okay, this is where we're going and what it used to look like. That's a lot of boats, folks. And this is what power projection is all about. You have that center, that's the boat in the center. That's a battleship. There are battleships behind it, and aircraft carriers ahead, up on top of it. There's a different direction. You can actually see the airport at Ulithi. Now we'll pay attention back to our airplane here. Climbed us up to 19,000 feet. No, we said 9,200 feet. Go down. Don't want to go down, we'll cancel our... There it is. Oh, we can see what we came to see. Oh, there we go. There's Thunderbird 6, folks. And this is what it can look like with a whole formation of these guys. That's proper. Okay, you can see that outer circle there. You can, if you look down, this is the upper part of Ulithi, and then follow the mouse around. There's the Ulithi, makes a complete circle. That's the Anchorage. And it's time to take a closer look. Okay, autopilot off. And it's time to take her down, folks. There we can start to see it a bit better here as we dive. Back to where our map's visible. All these little atolls here are where the Anchorage used to be. Bird 6 doing a remarkable job of holding position on me, who's not the most stable flight partner in the world. There are like only 2 entrances to Anchorage here. Okay, we're 13 miles up. Oh, 13 miles out and 12,000 feet up and falling. I believe we can see where our airfield is up ahead there. We've got a long way to drop. Pull our throttles back. Thunderbird 6 is tucked in fairly tight with us. Not Thunderbird tight, tight. Yep, there's the airport. That's our landing for today. But don't go long, you'll get wet. Airspeed is Mach 0.48, which according to the semi-functional Mach meter, we're doing about 270 indicated. And throttling back here. 6,000 feet above ground. And dropping. We'll have to go past and come back. Either way you go long, you're going to get wet. One thing the brilliant guys that did the model here, one thing they forgot. Air brakes. We don't got them. Gear down. Those will have to serve. Okay, there's 200 knots. We're right over the field. Going out. Watch our map. Start a little turn here. Not the flat, please. The power back in. Start our turn here. Don't get too steep on the turn. You'll lose your lift and fall out of the air. I like to keep it between 125 and 150 on the approach. The rudder in a bit. Okay, there's the island. There's the airport. We are offline. Here we go. Nope. 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 Splash wet. Let's try that approach again. Got to do it all over again. Can't just restart. It'll send us all the way back to Peleliu. Hey, Viper Strike. How are you doing tonight? And we're gonna make this landing here at Ulithi. Oh, we didn't change our livery. If you'll notice, the bar gets this far and sticks. Come on. There. Now we got to do the whole kit and caboodle here. Oops. Oh boy. I'll take that. Now let's go in here. We'll select number 1. And come up here to Ulithi. And we'll go fly. And hope this works. The main thing, Viper Strike, is that you enjoy your flying. The Middle East is not one of my favorite places to fly. It's a nice place to go and visit, but not to fly. I'm gonna have to go with Anakin. I hate sand. Been in the desert. Spent way too much time in the desert. All right, let's try this again. Here we are at Ulithi. Power coming in. Hold up a second. Fuel, please. Top us off. Recenter the gravity. Center of gravity there. Now, brakes off. Power up. $100 knots, 120. Up we go. Flaps up. Gear up. We go around here. Map, please. Yeah, everywhere you look, all you could see would be ships. They said this Anchorage would hold 7,000 different boats of various sizes. Everything from aircraft carriers to infantry carriers. Okay, coming around now. There we go. Let's try this again. Gear down. Flat. $175 and falling. The Tiger's stall speed's about 160. So we're going to treat this about the same. Oh, going to bounce. Which shows you the flight model's kind of off because I do have damage on. That should have flipped me and crashed me yet again. See if I can maneuver my pedals around here. There we go. Let's see if we can get a nice screenshot with us in 1 and 6 here. This is something, unfortunately, I don't know which light it switched to, but oh, it's not going to do it. Oh, the Bustic's actually maneuvering around. Yeah, that's what it was. We were in the camera view. Now that's great right there. Screenshot. Camera, please. I don't doubt the T-38 is tough, but I think even the landing gear of a T-38 would have gone oof and collapsed with the landing I just gave it. Let's see what LRM says. I'll bet you that says fatal. Huh? 461. Concerning. Nope, that should have been fatal, guys. Sorry. Hate to disabuse you. That was, hey, no survivors from that one. But yeah, welcome to Ulithi, home away from home for the U.S. Pacific Fleet. It's so nice here. We're going to put our fueling station right on the runway. That's just epic. That's beautiful. Taking the screenies while I can get them. grass. I don't want to eat grass. This is where the pilots, after they get down, they stand in front of their aircraft, and then they salute the aircraft, they salute each other, and they turn around and they salute the crowd. There's a log cabin here in Ulysses. I doubt it. I don't know how long a cabin of palm tree limb or palm tree trunks would last. That's 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 pretty. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just got to work. And they land fast, but that's okay. I'm just grateful that I didn't do my usual. Well, I did do my usual stream thing and muck up the landing on the first try. Took a second try to do it. But I'm just grateful y'all came along, and like I said, we flew over some of the most valuable terrain in the world, and here we got to see the actual size of the Anchorage here. Got to see it. Got to see it when it was packed full of boats too. I've never added pictures to a stream before like this. I was tickled that worked. Appliance junk? Yes, you can. I've got a program for that. It's called Super Carrier Pro, and man, it really makes it a lot. It doesn't make it any easier to land on a carrier. It just makes it more convenient. It's still one of the most scary the challenges a pilot can face is to land a hurtling piece of machinery like this on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier. Now, the T-38 doesn't have it. Let's get down and look. See, they don't have a tail hook. The F-5 Tiger Shark, the Tiger II, they do have tail hooks. They were tested by the U.S. Navy as actual potential carrier aircraft, but they found that the joint here between the fuselage and tail was a little too weak to withstand the carrier's impact. The undercarriage could take it, but the fuselage could not. So they went with the F-14 instead. Because we have two excellent F-14s here in the sim, the DC F-14 and the Heat Blur F-14, they're both excellent for actually making carrier traps with jets. Now, for throwback and barbarians like myself, I like my carrier traps with propellers on, and that's quite a bit of carrier deck to land on with a prop plane. Matter of fact, I've got on my YouTube channel, I've got a couple of videos of me making carrier traps. I was using the F4F Wildcat and the F6F Hellcat to make my carrier traps. And I've used the Blackbird uh, Corsair to make some carrier traps. That's a difficult aircraft to get down on a carrier deck. Just seeing past the nose is a pain. Let's see. Kevin Riley on my YouTube channel. It's the one with the picture of an Imperial agent on it. I tend to put a lot of these videos from here on Twitch. I transfer them over to YouTube. Anybody that wants to see some past exploits of the craziness that I got up to, that's a place where to find it. I don't have the bot that will tell us all in Twitch where to find that stuff. I'm not even sure a bot would even run on this laptop. Tell the truth, I'm not that qualified to try. The fact that I've gotten this far with my broadcasting is astounding. Even before my stroke, I couldn't have, I don't think I'd have gotten much past this. Now let's see if we can actually find somebody to raid tonight. Let's see if we can reach over here and push the buttons. Who's on? Uh-oh. NASA's on. Auntie's on. Captain Arash is still on. Hey, Captain Arash is one of the good guys. Let's raid Captain Arash and see what he's up to. In the meantime, I want to say thank you to all you folks for coming in and joining me here tonight. And we will see you next Sunday.